to We All Serve, the podcast featuring leadership lessons from and conversations with those veterans that have served in the United States Armed Forces. Meet your hosts, Robert Lewis, a proud enlisted veteran that served active duty in the United States Marine Corps. Hoorah! And Shalom Klein, who is privileged to be an officer in the United States Army Reserve. Hoorah! They both agree. We all serve.
Well, welcome to the 9th episode of We All Serve. It's such a pleasure to be back with my friend, my brother, Robert Lewis. Robert, how have you been this week?
I am just doing very well, my brother. How about yourself?
Awesome. You know, it's been a great week, great weather actually. So great to spend some time outside and just sort of getting settled. I know I told you that a couple of weeks ago. I was gone for my annual training, which is sort of a staple of reserve life. You know, you train once a month for a couple of days, but then it's really awesome to get out, especially in this era of COVID, to actually get out to train and actually be with, in my case, my soldiers, and spend some time together and train. But I won't lie, it's nice to have my own shower, my own bed, and be back. And it's been a couple of weeks now. And of course, we just our last episode that we are distributing is with our amazing Illinois Secretary of State, Jesse White. So that was just an awesome conversation. Honestly, I'm still coming off a high, Robert.
Yeah, that was great, man. And I think he was very candid. He's very well known to have more than a few stories that he can fill up any room with, and so many different careers he endeavored. I mean, as a 3-time veteran, of course we interviewed him, so we could talk about it all day. But that was great, and I'm really looking forward to today's guest, and I think you might know why.
I do, but I just want to provide that disclaimer that I was the one that booked our very first Marine on We All Serve. Do I get credit for that, Robert?
I mean, yeah, you get credit for it, but I mean, it's about time. I didn't brought I don't know how many Army members up here. So I think, the old adage is, for every one Marine, there's 4 Army guys. So
I'm just telling you, there's more of us than there are of you.
No, but you know what Army really means, right? It just means you ain't ready for Marines yet. That's really what it is. So, but yeah, this is great, man. I'm excited about our guest today, and she's a phenomenal servant to the community, and just really looking forward to hearing some of the great work she's doing.
And Robert, before we bring in our guest, and I'm also very, very excited. I've gotten to know our guest a little bit as we were just talking about before we went live out in Springfield, and I've seen her work in action. But before we get there, this has been a pretty amazing week on several levels, challenging week on other levels, but we like to stay positive on We All Serve. So let's stick with the positive. Robert, what inspired you this week?
Well, I'll tell you, man, one of the things that always inspires me is our fellow men and women in the armed forces when there's barriers that are broken. And General Charles C.Q. Brown Jr. Became the new Air Force Chief of Staff on this past Thursday, making history actually as the first African-American to lead any military services. General Brown succeeded General David Goffin as the Air Force's 22nd Chief of Staff at a ceremony there at Joint Base Andrews. So that is inspiring, man. It seems like every week that we have our podcast, there's always a new barrier being broken. And just goes to show you, man, that service is at an all-time high. We've got a lot of things that are happening that are negative out there, but there's so many positives. And I think that's the unique niche that we've ran into with this podcast.
That's right. And congratulations to General Brown. It's just an incredible accomplishment, and I can't top that. So with that, I am absolutely delighted to bring in our 9th guest on We All Serve, State Representative Stephanie Kifowit, proudly served the country, as we said a moment ago, in the United States Marine Corps. Served the residents of the city of Aurora as alderman for over 9 years. Now is a full-time state representative of the 84th House District, serving the residents of Aurora, Montgomery, Naperville, and Oswego. Stephanie and her husband, Steve, and I just want to say this, an Army vet, have 2 children, Sabrina and Samuel, and Representative Kifowit is a proud alumna of Northern Illinois University and graduated with a bachelor's in political science and a master's in public administration. During her tenure as state representative, Representative Kifowit has introduced support legislation that has assisted and supported veterans in a major way and helped restore integrity to state government. He has served on many different committees, including, I'm just going to name off a couple, the chair of Veterans Affairs, the chair of the State Government Administration, vice chair of Appropriations General Service, on Adoption and Child Welfare, Revenue and Finance, Income Tax Subcommittee, Agency Operations Subcommittee as the sub-chairperson, and the sub-chairperson of the Government Process Subcommittee. That's quite the bio, and our guest is quite the leader. Representative Stephanie Kifowit, thank you so much for joining us on We All Serve.
Welcome.
Oh, yes, thanks for having me. I'm excited to bring some class to this this podcast by having another Marine. I am the only female veteran in the whole General Assembly, 179 individuals, and I am one of 2 Marines. There's also a Marine in the Senate, so I don't see him very often, but so I'm the only Marine in the House. So we are the few and the proud. But I on your show, I do have a confession. My son, in an act of complete defiance, joined the Navy. So he is right now just finished his quarantine and should be in Navy boot camp for 3 days now. And of course, as a parent, I'm proud of him. I really pushed for the Marines, and my husband, of course, pushed for the Army. And he said, "I'll have none of that. I'm going Navy." So, so
wow.
And
well,
we're
proud of
get my daughter to join the Air Force. We could have had a 4-pack, but she just said no.
You know, Representative, there's the Space Force now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
No, that's great.
I don't know how that's gonna be. I'm old school. I'm still like, and forgive me the coasties out there. I know there's a couple of coasties that watch your show, probably, right? There you go.
Absolutely. We've got a book of coasties on the show. But congratulations and wishing your son well. Hopefully they're not beating him up too bad out at boot camp. But I know we all have our experiences through our respective beginnings of our military career, and those are the formative moments. I know Robert can lead us in a cadence right now and march us off.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, I can do that. So this might take you back a little bit. Stepping out on your left, your right or left. Stepping out on your left or right, right on your left foot. Give me your left, your right or left. Stepping out on your left or right, right on your left foot. Give me your left, your left. Right, low, high, low, right. Yellow, high, low, right. Just a little bit of Marine cadence for you guys there.
Here we go.
Well, the Marine Corps boot camp is 3 months. The Navy's only 2 months. So,
yep.
We're interested to see what he does and some of the things. I guess nowadays they have a Facebook page, like a recruit Facebook page that you don't know if you'll see pictures of your loved, your child on there. But so I'm really interested to be on this side of the fence, I guess you'd say, because I know what boot camp is and my husband does, and we've been like kind of reminiscing about our days in boot camp. I remember when I had a week of liver, boiled liver, fried liver and onions. I mean, you gotta love that boot camp chow hall. So
yes,
I think they've upgraded the chow hall a little bit since 30 years ago. So I was in 1990. So.
Oh wow, I was in 95. So and you were East Coast, correct, Representative?
Paris Island, all the way. So.
Did they still have those sand fleas?
Oh yeah, it was amazing. We had to do push-ups in the weeds, and that night, I looked down. I thought I had chicken pox. I had so many sand flea bites all over my arms. I swear to God, it was chicken pox. I was like, oh my goodness, what have I got myself into?
I was Hollywood, so
you got those sunglasses.
We had sunglasses and the Richard Gere look, you know.
Yeah, no, we had no sunglasses. we're so tough. We let the sun burn our retinas, man, because we can handle it. You know, not like you California guys.
Yep, absolutely. I get ragged on all the time by my East Coast Marines all the time. But yep. So Representative, tell us, you know, well, first I want to kind of dive into like growing up as a young girl. Where'd you grow up, first of all, and what inspired you to join the Marine Corps?
So I grew up in a small town called Wheaton, Illinois. You might be familiar with it. So I graduated from Wheaton Central, which is now Mariano's. So they've, preserved my childhood very well. Good grocery store right there. My parents, they pretty much donated all my college fund to the divorce attorneys. They were having a lot of fun fighting themselves. So, growing up, when my parents divorced when I was in high school, was not always pleasant, but I had a lot of friends. And one of my friends lived out in Midlothian. And, I realized after I graduated high school that there should be a little bit more to life than just what I was doing, which was working at a grocery store, and making ends meet and paying rent on a room and stuff like that. And so I opened the phone book back in the day. I know I'm a phone book person. Yeah. Back in the day, I opened up the phone book, and actually the recruiting station I got recruited out of, I thought, it might be fun to see the world. And of course, I wanted to join the best. So I went right into the Marine Corps. I would have maybe considered the Air Force because that sounded like the most fun, and then maybe the other ones. I don't know about that. But I actually, when I was visiting my friends, the recruiting station was in Harvey, Illinois.
Wow.
So I actually was recruited out of Harvey, Illinois. I think that recruiting station has since closed down. But so I walked in, I said, sign me up, Sarge. I want to, see the world and, see what life has to offer. And I signed up on the spot.
Wow. Wow. Interesting. So, I mean, and then off to Parris Island you went. And, I guess naturally as a woman Marine, someone at 30 years ago, I'm curious, like, what was that experience becoming a Marine, and as a female, what was that like for you, and how do you liken it to how times have changed now?
Well, I think becoming a Marine was a little bit easier for me in boot camp because I always ran track and cross country, and I was always into sports. So the physical fitness part of it did not bother me. We always talk about being a woman in boot camp, not to be a little bit feminine, but there was a woman in my platoon who was a couple cup sizes bigger than the average. And when she did push-ups, her chest didn't leave the ground. And so we always kind of laugh at those kind of nuances because she'd always be like yelled at, like, get up higher off the ground. She'd be like up on her fingertips, trying to get off the ground. And so those little nuances are I think, a little bit unique to female recruits that male recruits don't have to deal with that much. But overall, I thought boot camp was very motivating. I'm a little bit jealous that they got the Crucible now and some of that other really fun stuff that the new recruits are really challenging themselves with. And, it's just exhilarating to pin on and be called a Marine, one of the fewer and the prouder because, women Marines are, I think, like 1 or 2% of the overall Marine Corps. So it's very unique to be in this class that I'm in. It's very, very challenging outside of the Marine Corps being a woman Marine because, sometimes people don't even know how to relate. And sometimes I don't know how to relate because as you know, in the Marine Corps, it's like, get the job done. It doesn't matter. We are like, full speed ahead. And, that's not necessarily a stereotypical female trait sometimes, and so when you're straightforward saying we got to get this job done, people are taken back, or they're a little bit off guard, because I got long hair and I look the way I look, but then I can, be direct and to the point and get, mission driven. And it's a weird quagmire that I think not just female Marines, but female veterans find themselves in, because you're not stereotypically female, but you're not obviously male. So you're like in this purgatory in the civilian world that can be pretty isolating and pretty lonely, to be quite honest.
So we just talked about your entry into the Marine Corps. I'm actually curious also about your exit from the Marine Corps, although you probably never really exited. I know you're a Marine at heart, and I know that, bottom line, the theme of the show is really we all serve, that you certainly continue to serve in a major way. But at what point did you decide to discharge and move on into the civilian sector? And I know we've talked a little bit about some of the things that you've done, and we'll continue to talk about some of those accomplishments. But when did you decide to leave, and how did your service affect what you did next?
Well, it's kind of a funny story. I served during the Clinton years, and there was downsizing going on. And so I had to put my SRB in front of the review panel for reenlistment. So I had initially put in for reenlistment request, and I requested to go to Quantico, Virginia. And so I went, and my book, I got Marine of the Quarter right before I went to Okinawa. So I was stationed at Camp Pendleton for 3 years. And then I went over to Okinawa, Japan for 1 year. And I got Marine of the Quarter at Camp Pendleton, Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton, right before I shipped out to Okinawa. So I got an E4 when all the ranks were pretty much frozen in my my MOS. So I had put in, and I was all gung ho. I actually called all my family and told them I was reenlisted. My SRB got selected for reenlistment to Quantico. I was going to be in the public relations office there because I was admin. I served during a time when women were non-combatant, so we were not allowed any of the MOSs that are available today to women, and just getting opened up as we speak. And then I talked to a master sergeant. And I asked him, I said, Master Sergeant, you're retiring. What are you going to do? And he's like, well, I think I'm going to go to college and figure out what kind of job I want. And I immediately froze. I was like, oh my goodness. I don't want to put in 20 years in the military. No offense to the retirees, people, and start figuring out my life then. So I actually, put in a letter to rescind my request for reenlistment, and I got out with less than $1,000 in my pocket, no place to live, and back then I just thought hanging out in people's homes while I was figuring out what I was supposed to do was just hanging out in people's houses. But I realized now that I was technically homeless. I was couch surfing is the term, and I didn't realize that. In fact, when my grandmother picked me up at Midway Airport, I didn't even have a warm coat because I was always been in warm weather climates. And she brought me this big plaid wool coat with the sleeves about 3 inches too short and parked in the taxi lane at Midway, and everybody's honking at us. It was crazy. So I had no transition to civilian life at all.
Wow.
It was just kind of like, here's the door, and walk right through it. So it was pretty interesting experience. I worked 2 jobs, a day job and an evening job to make enough money to make ends meet. And then I realized that there was this thing in Illinois called the Illinois Veterans Grant one of the things that happened when I got out is I didn't realize that when I applied for all the colleges, I got out in January. So I was applying, to colleges for the fall. I didn't realize colleges already cut off, several months earlier. So really the only university that took me in was Northern Illinois University, recognizing that I was in the military and I had really no control over, my situation and when I was applying. So, and then I'm thankful for that. So it was really quite crazy. Like I said, I worked 2 jobs until school started, and then I moved to DeKalb and was able to keep one of my jobs while I was in college and got my GI Bill and my Illinois Veterans Grant. And just persevere, adapt and overcome. Right. That's what
right.
I did.
That's right. Wow. That's typical. I mean, because, I did 4 years as well, representative. And when I came out with a family though. I came out with a small family and kind of similar. Did not really have a clue of how I was going to make it, where I was going to live. But I knew, hey, I had family. I had my family. I had family back home. And I felt I would be okay. I thought I had enough skills. I thought I had enough training and all that good stuff that when I got back home or wherever I landed, that I could just pick up from that point. But that is, you're really naive if you're like I was 20, 21, now a veteran. You have no clue of what it's going to be like. But no, that's interesting. So also, I see also you're a financial advisor. And are you a financial advisor currently?
No, I'm full time. I'm a full time state representative.
Full time. Okay. Yeah. Great. So
that's in another world. I was a registered financial advisor for 6 years with bank. It's now, well, what is it now? It was First National Bank of Chicago, but it got eaten up by Bank One. I think it got eaten up by Chase, but I was in the First National Bank of Chicago wave, and then I went to Morgan Stanley, and then I had kids, stayed home, and I was an alderman full time, and then I was a state rep full time. So I believe the people deserve my attention with regards to the state of Illinois, 100%.
No, I agree, and first of all, thank you for your service, continuous service as a state representative as well, and. Now that you made the right decision, we've established you made the right decision to be a Marine. We're also established that you're a hard charger. They have many terminologies for Marines, but we'll stick with hard charger right now. And also as a state rep, I mean, what of your experiences in the Marine Corps? Obviously, you can take charge. You really know how to get the job done. You're self-motivated. All of those things, I'm sure you use to motivate your staff and do the things you do with the state. So, if you had to summarize, in a sense, what your Marine Corps service did to propel you to serve in the state representative, what would that be?
Well, I think the number one thing I hear from individuals is that I'm just straightforward. Like other individuals, they ride the fence, or they try to be like maybe, and if there's a bill I think there's problems with, I just say there's problems with it. I'm not voting for it. And they're like, oh, well, thanks for being candid. I'm candid and I'm straightforward. Even individuals of the other party, I'm on the Democrat, even my Republican colleagues have called me and emailed me for being fair and impartial in committee meetings. And, I believe, like in the Marine Corps, adapt and overcome. You can go over, you can go around, you can go under, and sometimes when people come to me with concerns with their bills, I say, well, okay, well, this is one way you're doing it. Let's say, like for me, we're working really hard with veteran suicide and homelessness. And, there's not just one way to do it. We can do it another way, but the end goal has to be to prevent and eliminate veteran suicide and homelessness. So if there's one way that we might not have funding for, there's got to be another way. And so I think looking at all angles is really important. And some people just get, and it's not to their detriment, but they get fixated on one solution. And I'm always trying to give them alternate solutions and ideas that could help them out. So pretty much I'm just straightforward. It takes a lot of people sometimes off guard. Like I said, it can be very, very isolating when you are that way, because when I say I'm no on a bill, unless something changes, and it doesn't change, I'm no on a bill, that puts people off that might change their vote or whatnot. And there's nothing I can do about that, but it's just the way I roll. You get what you get. That's who I am. You're not going to get any sugar coating. I can't be sweet, but you ain't getting sugar coating.
Absolutely. Yep. And if You were a young Stephanie Kifowit starting all over again. Are there any lessons that you've learned both in your time in the Marine Corps as well as in your, in following civilian career, which I love that you've sort of blended the two, that you are now using your time in service to help those coming out of service, whether it's around suicide prevention and education. What would you do differently? What would you tell a young Stephanie Kifowit right now?
Well, if I was joining the Marines today, I'd be looking at a whole lot of MOS opportunities I did not have. So I would definitely, I was admin by default because women were, of course, excluded from combat up until recently. And a lot of MOSs are available now. And I think I would really broaden my horizon and serve to a greater capacity. Not that admin isn't a good capacity, because people need to be fed. They need to be paid. They need their books updated. And, it is still, I have had a couple people diminish my service because it was just admin, and I was deployed to Okinawa and I wasn't deployed to the sandbox. And, there are some people out there that diminish, maybe my service because I'm a female more than others. I don't know. But admin, I think, is a fine job. But if I could do it over again, I'd like to try a different one, a different MOS, a different field that I could be of service to as well. Overall, I think I've had a blessed life, and just persevere and keep your moral compass on north. I don't compromise my ethics or my integrity, and I think that's something that young people need to stick their stake in the ground as well, and not compromise. And that's why there's a lot of veteran entrepreneurs out there, because they see a higher way or a more efficient way to do things. And when you're caught in the bureaucratic of somebody else's model or doing something else a different way, veterans are just hard charging out there, mission oriented, and we have a lot of veteran entrepreneurs out there because of that as well. And so all that is encouraging. Recently I was just elected president of the Women Marine Association for the Northern Illinois district. So trying to work that all together and trying to build camaraderie in a fractured military community that we have. We're just not coming together like the World War II guys did, and we gotta start working together, because connectivity is one of the ways that we can reduce veteran suicide. Reaching out and connecting like you are doing. Thank you so much, with our veteran brothers and sisters.
Indeed. And thank you. And congratulations again on your election. And, I would like to know, because you're a very inspiring individual, one who, as the theme of our show says, we all serve. You've been serving for a majority of your life. You've been in service, and your family as well, obviously, with your son in the Navy. We won't talk about that, but we'll just congratulate him because he's serving, and that's wonderful. Who would you name as role models along the way?
Well, what, I go back, I guess, if you'd call it a role model, but I absorb things that people tell me. And one of my very first people I looked up to was a staff sergeant. And I was, in E3 complaining to him about a couple of things. And he looked at me and he goes, "Don't be complaining to me. Get in a position where you can make change." And that's always stuck with me, that you can sit on the couch and complain, or you can just grab the bull by the horns and start making change. It doesn't happen overnight, but it does make change. And one of the partnerships I have is with CASA, Court Appointed Special Advocates. And they love working with veterans because they want to make a change, and they're mission oriented. So any veterans out there, Illinois Court Appointed Special Advocate, which is they're fighting for kids that need a voice, is one of the things. So that was my very first inspirational saying, or, really, I think the staff sergeant just wanted me to go away, but
Yeah,
go
I
ahead,
had
E3,
always
I
talk
got
about
something else
my
to do, go make your own change, but I thought it
yeah.
was very impactful. And then everybody I meet, I just try to absorb, just inspirational, motivational things from people. Just recently, I had a conversation with retired Command Sergeant Major Michelle Jones. She was just an amazing woman. I mean, we just laughed, and female veteran to female veteran, and the hour went by very fast. And we're planning an event with her in September, and just to motivate, and we don't do that enough of ourselves. And so I guess I can't point to one person. I assimilate, and I bring together all these things from people, even people in my neighborhood that work really hard. We can just, like you said at the beginning of the show, what motivates you today? And you can find at least one thing that motivates you, from my family to, my son in the Navy, to just, overall. But that was, I think, the first, going back, that was like the first thing from my military that I can remember that sticks with me every day. You don't complain about it. Get in a position to make the change you need to change. And I guess that's what's guiding me. And that's where I'm at today, trying to make the change for better lives for our veterans, for our better lives for people in Illinois, and overall, doing what I can to serve.
I love it. And that's quite inspirational for all of us. And I hope everybody can take that lesson. Again, that theme is we all serve. It doesn't matter whether you put on the uniform or even which uniform you put on. The idea is giving back and serving in some capacity, and being involved. Never, ever, ever say that somebody else has to do something. Always, like your staff sergeant said, is, be the change, make it happen. And it's a perfect segue. I know, Representative, you have served as chair of the Veterans Affairs Committee in the House, and you've been involved in quite a few pieces of legislation that has made literally changed lives, quite literally saved lives and changed lives for those that have served. And I know both Robert and I are grateful and thankful to you for that, along with so many others throughout the state of Illinois. But what is the piece of legislation that you're perhaps most proud of, and what are some of the things that you might be working on right now as it relates to veterans?
Well, I guess you could call it my signature piece was several years ago. I put together legislation to form a veteran suicide prevention task force, and the members traveled throughout the whole state. And it wasn't scientific. It was just listening to what veterans had to say. So sometimes I think that we have to hear what people have to say with regards to things, just overall. And it was amazing. And with that, we put forth a package, our veteran suicide prevention package, a bunch of legislation to help our struggling veterans who are having a hard time transitioning and having a hard time. And I'm still on it. This year, I'm on the Governor's Challenge, which is a nationwide initiative to prevent veteran suicide, and working with a lot of clinicians and a lot of people to really meet the needs of our veterans who are struggling out there. And again, connectivity is one of the big things with that. And so we definitely need to keep up the work. So that's my ongoing, ever-present initiative, along with helping some other, tax breaks for veterans and some of those other things. But that's my main thing that we really need to work at is reaching out. I'm very, very excited because the VA now has a program in place where veterans can self-identify their state they're going home to up to a year before their discharge. So now we can finally, we weren't able to get this information before. The DOD locked it down, but They can voluntarily give that up, and the state can now reach out to them up to a year before their discharge and start talking to them about benefits and things like you were talking about, housing and what are you going to do in a transition plan specifically to the state of Illinois, not a generic one that they have now, but we can. And so I'm really excited for that to go online. So I'm just really, really here for my fellow veterans that are getting out Also, our Vietnam veterans, now that they're retired and they're sitting at home, especially in COVID, they're lonely and depressed. They're at a higher risk of suicide as well. So trying to reach out to them and Zoom call with them and just trying to do all I can.
Well, that's phenomenal. And thanks for sharing that information with our viewers and listeners. As a program manager here in the state of Illinois, I know that's a big fight for all the resources, veteran resources throughout the states, to have some sort of access or connectivity to military members who will become veterans, a lot sooner than, what was before, a few weeks before they landed at home. So that's huge. That is huge. I'm so glad to hear that. I think with all of your success, Representative, as a Marine, as a state representative, you're continuously just leading the way with service and setting an example. I mean, if you had to say what would be next for you, what would you say?
Oh, I believe in the good Lord putting me on the path I got to go on. So, when that door opens, I will recognize it and walk through it. Right now, I am just blessed to continue to serve the people of Illinois and to work with individuals and talking about veterans. One of the things that disappoints me sometimes is when I visit businesses and I ask them, how many veterans do you have on staff? And they said, we don't know. We do a luncheon in November, but we don't know. And that, again, we got to get connectivity. We got to inspire businesses to do once a week, let the veterans have coffee together, or recognize that if you have a combat veteran, don't have them sitting with their back against the window. And, really recognizing that veterans are great. But, we do need to have some acknowledgement, I think, to create that community. And when businesses say, oh, we hire veterans and we put them in the call center, you have a highly skilled individual in a call center. It's not going to work. But, just educating to the best of my ability with anybody who listen to me, because veterans are phenomenal, multifaceted, and I think the civilian world doesn't understand us the way that I think we need to be understood. But there's a lot going on, and not enough people talking, not enough people wanting to recognize it. And we really need to have that discussion, and we really need businesses to understand who their veterans are, talk to them about the environment they're working in, talk to them about just about life in general, and because we don't want to lose another veteran to suicide. And again, I keep saying this word, connectivity. We need to connect, and that's gonna bring down our veteran suicide numbers. And it's not everybody's thought of it. I can say when I got out, things are tough. I've thought of it, but we need to make sure that people have a place to go when they think about it, to talk to somebody peer to peer, and have that connectivity for them. And so I'll just keep doing that as long as the good Lord lets me do it. And that's the road I'm supposed to be on. Perfect.
Well, we're grateful that you continue to do that. I have two final questions for you as we wrap up. First is on the glorious day of the Army-Navy game. What does that scene look like currently in the Kifowit household, and what will it look like when your son comes home from training?
Oh, well, I mean, my husband does annoy me. He gets annoyed by me because there's a lot more USMC stuff throughout the whole house than there is stuff. We've kind of taken that over. So, no, every day is all about our veterans. And so our flag flies 365 days a year. It's not a object of decor on our house. It's always there. And when our son comes home, it's going to be a welcoming, and we're going to be very proud of him. And we might make a couple fun tidbits about maybe whose uniform's better, and
okay.
That one, Representative, in there, but not a lot of Navy digs. The guy is awesome. He's serving his country right now, and he's going to be on computer tech. computers, which is very important. And the Navy has a lot of computers on a lot of ships. So it's definitely good for him. So every day we celebrate every day.
That's awesome. And last question for you, especially in this era of COVID, you talked about obviously the businesses in your district and your primary job, which certainly as we've talked about over the past 45 minutes or so, as you've drawn from your experience in service, is you are a state representative. And so is there a favorite place, a favorite restaurant that you want to shout out to in your district that you want our listeners, our viewers to check out and visit?
Oh, a favorite business. I have each district is 109,000 people. So
I don't want to make you call out a favorite.
It's I just want people to shop local because I see a lot of boxes on people's porches, which I understand, but it would be nice if those are. So I'll give a shout out, not in my district, so I won't get anybody, but we really like to shop local. And if you're if you really like hot sauce, we enjoy Gindo's hot sauce. It's locally made in Batavia, and they do deliver to your doorstep if you're within 50 miles of Batavia, Illinois. And so I would give a shout out to Gindo's hot sauce. That's like the number one in our household. So if you're a hot sauce lover, nice. I would give them a shout out, and then I won't get anybody mad in my district because they're in Batavia, which is a different district.
There you go.
Nice.
I'll definitely check it out. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, Representative, thank you so much for joining us. Robert, any final questions or thoughts?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you very much for all that you're doing for the state of Illinois, and in particular your district, and all that you can continue to do to serve. And on your new election, I appreciate that. I appreciate you coming aboard with us to highlight your service as it continues, as a woman in service as well, and just sharing all your experiences. You're really going to speak to a lot of our audience who are maybe thinking about joining the service, and now they'll be like, oh, I think I might need to go to the Marine Corps. So,
they have the best uniforms. If you want to look the best, you got to join
those dress blues.
And I got to tell you, it was pivotal. I can't even think of what my life would have been like without it. And it was the best decision I made. And I loved seeing a bit of the world, and I love serving. So definitely I would join the Marine Corps in a heartbeat. It was a wonderful experience. And my husband, the same with the Army. I mean, service is it's a calling, and definitely it's just a phenomenal experience that's almost indescribable.
Agreed. Well,
we all serve.
We all serve. So thank you, everyone. And remember, service is not just in the military or in a particular uniform. It's wherever, what capacity you decide to serve, it still matters. So we all serve.
That's right. We all serve. And again, thank you, Representative, for joining us. You can always download podcasts from We All Serve wherever you find your podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify, all over the place. But also check out on YouTube, check out We All Serve, where you can actually watch these conversations. Make sure you click subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. We have an awesome lineup in store for you, so you don't want to miss a minute of it. Thank you, Representative Stephanie Kifowit, for joining us on the 9th episode of We All Serve. Thank you, my friend, brother, Robert Lewis, for another awesome episode, and I can't wait to see you next week.
Likewise, brother. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.